Hi, everybody. Welcome to another listening log on Song Tripping. It's Friday, May 3rd. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm not sure if it's been more than a week or not. It feels that way. Anyway, I've been working through a lot of CDs and I have one LP to share with you. And these are things that mostly I've recently gotten at library sales or at the record store, a big, like, 10 for $1 sale, and I wanted to share just some casual remarks about what I've been listening to. These are in no particular order, really. Let's start with Robbie Robertson. This is his first solo album, I believe, and this was good. I think I had listened to this back in the day. I'm not sure I had the album, but I heard at least a fair portion of it, and it's on the Geffen label, and it has that '80s sound, and '87 is the copyright on here. It has that '80s sound too. I feel like the Geffen records of that era, there's a sort of Geffen sound. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me on that, but Joni Mitchell was on Geffen for a while, and I think Neil Young was on Geffen for a little while, and countless others. Was Elton John on Geffen? I'm not sure, but um, there's a certain signature there. Like I feel like Arista in the late '70s, mid to late '70s, like has a certain sound that way, and the Geffen sounds that way too. Produced by Daniel Lanois and Robbie Robertson. So I'm not a huge fan of '80s production, but as an '80s production, like this isn't bad at all. So I'm glad I have it. Here's a classical album. This is Messiaen, Turnangalila Symphony, um, and it was funny because my wife um, said, put something like instrumental and relaxing on. So I put this on because it's definitely instrumental, but it wasn't really relaxing. It was actually very turbulent music by Messiaen, like in some passages angry and angsty and lots of energy. This is not a criticism. It was actually pretty interesting album, but didn't keep the wife happy that night. Anyway, Steel Eye Span. Remember, I got a run of these a while back at the library sale. This is Hark the Village Wait. And this also sounded good. It wasn't as good as their first album, I thought, but there's nothing wrong with the production on this. And it just really gets you into the zone of British folk music. And it's got a lot of interesting stuff on it. The former owner seems to have picked out some favorites amongst those. Definitely a keeper. Then I got through the third of my Sonic Youth haul, Daydream Nation. Now, I used to have this one. I think I might have given that old copy to my daughter. Uh, and there's Washing Machine was the other one, and Goo. And not that it really matters, but I've been sort of reflecting on, well, which is my favorite among the three? How would I rank them? I don't know. I might put this one at the top. I know this was like a huge album for them, big breakthrough. Um, but they're all close. Like I think they're Goo is good maybe because the songs are sort of shorter and they're like I think this is probably a better point of entry for Sonic Youth, but this one feels like very rich in its album song list. And Washing Machine also I like too. Those songs are kind of more expanded on that one. Is that what it's called, Washing Machine? I think so. Anyway, here is Steely Dan, Countdown to Ecstasy. Remember, I've been collecting these individual CD titles by Steely Dan. And I thought Gaucho sounded amazing. This one was less impressive. I didn't give it like a real close stereo listen. This was more of a in the car listen. I might have listened to it on headphones, but it didn't seem to be. And I like the album. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very strong, but it's just the CD presentation. It wasn't bad at all. It's totally fine, but it didn't wow me as much as the Gaucho release for some reason. Also, we've got Stephen Stills' solo album. Just listened to this one this morning. Didn't know this album before. Of course, I know the first track, "Love the One You With," but the other ones were nice and listenable. It's like got that good Laurel Canyon, Crosby, Stills, Nash flavored classic rock vibe. Lots of good guitar work on it. It's an album I should revisit. I think it's a keeper. Let me know your thoughts about Stephen Stills' solo album. And then this is one of my favorite listens recently, Smooth Needle Maps by Devo. And this came out in the early 90s. Let me show you the fold out poster. And I listened to this a couple times through in the car. And yeah, I feel like this album is one that people don't talk about too much because Devo, their sun was setting, and I think this was the last studio album before the one they released in the 2000s. The name of that one escapes me. I have that one on vinyl, and it included the CD. But Smooth Needle Maps has a lot of just good vibes to it, and like good use of synthesizers. Devo, for all their quirkiness and for all their sort of tech that they use, and what could be very sterile and uninvolving maybe in the terms of stylings of the music. I find them to be very musical. Like they groove. Like they are a good band. They're just a good band that's using this sort of quirky equipment that they like to use and the synths and everything. But there's some real kind of nasty songs on here. Kind of like punchy, aggressive. Like if you listen to the lyrics carefully, like there's some snarl here, but it's also melodic. It's a lot of fun as well. So I thought this was one to keep an eye out for. Maybe you want to stream it. Smooth Needle Maps, and then vinyl. I did get around to listening to this Duke Ellington in a mellow tone on RCA. This is a mono. And we listened to this one night. Sometimes we listen to jazz like before bedtime, and I thought it sounded terrific. It was, I love when a jazz album or any old album like this, and God, how old is this? This goes back to the 50s. I don't have a date on it, but these records like this transport you immediately. Like it's like you just get it in your time machine and go back to the 50s, the 60s, and you're just basking. You're just basking in this incredible composer and these incredible jazz musicians and his big band. And there's some vocals on here too, and just really, really, really terrific. A lot of these recordings are from the 40s, from the early 40s, and they compiled them for this album. And this is really vintage Duke Ellington. Yeah, loved it a lot. All right, so that's my update. I'm continuing to work my way through recent acquisitions. What have you been listening to? I'd love to hear. If you have any comments on these albums I've shared, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe. Bye bye.